Hello, this is Marcus Pulis, and this is Michael Truthar, and this is Voluntary Visions. Today we're going to talk about some current events. Right now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Miss Cortez, as she loves to be called. Not really.
I think she actually likes to be called Miss Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
Because a hyphenated.
Oh, I know. I was making a joke.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
She went off on Trump because he called her Miss Cortez, so I thought that it would be fun to call her Miss Cortez.
I missed that. Okay.
So Miss Cortez,
We're
AOC.
not Trump supporters.
No.
So.
Which, if you've watched anything on this channel, you probably already know. But
if you're new, no.
Yeah, no Trump. We don't like stupid of any kind. But anyhow,
and they're stupid in the right. They're stupid in the left.
They're stupid libertarians.
Everything that's authoritarian, we kind of But yeah, they're
stupid libertarians.
There's everyone.
They're stupid libertarians. Really stupid libertarians. Not as stupid as Miss Cortez. But anyhow, today we're going to talk about her and what's behind her and her ideas. We may get into some of the ideas that she's espousing, such as socialism, communism. And you might say, oh, she's not a communist. All a socialist is a communist too lazy to throw a revolt. It is nothing more than that. But there are particularly 5 groups that I've located with the help of my friend here who has really contributed to Ms. Cortez, her campaign, and those kinds of things. And some of them are the typical players.
Who's your friend?
You. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't contribute to Cortez. What?
No. What I mean is you contributed to my understanding and my yeah, no. Neither one of us are on that page. But anyhow, there are 5 groups that we have found that have majorly influenced her, and I would say control her. I think the first thing that needs to just get out of the way is what I just said. She is not a thinker. Everybody wants to say she's the big brains in the room and she's trying to solve problems.
She came up with a new Green Deal.
Right. This is all her. Not a bit of that is true. Absolutely none of it. There's going to be links all over the bottom of this that prove that. That she is just a tool, nothing more than any other tool. Donald Trump is a tool. He was, I'm not being influenced by banks. He owes Goldman Sachs money. He owes George Soros money, who we'll get into in a minute.
And when you're talking about all this, one of the things that comes to mind is she's an attractive tool. So is Obama. There is not a single photograph of Obama where he wasn't looking like he came from a GQ magazine.
Right.
And it's kind of peculiar to me. Trump, he's not a looker. And everybody tears after him. But the politicians that are, in a modern sense considered to be attractive, they generally get this pass.
Yeah. And I think that they know that. And by they, I'm talking about the people who are actually pulling the strings. And I'm not talking about some deep occult, group that's behind the scenes. Oh, hell no. These are right there out in the front. The groups I'm talking about, we'll start with the Justice Democrats. This is the first kind of level of where it's coming from and where she's coming from.
And the Justice Democrats, do they come from Uyghur? What was that dude's name on the Young Turks?
No. His name is
Chuck.
Yeah. It's hard to pronounce. It's Sink or Yank or something like that. Uyghur. He is the main anchor on the Young Turks, and that's actually group number 2.
Okay.
But yeah, the Justice Democrats are a group of progressive Democrats who are politically active, who are basically primarying all of these different, more mainline, and not saying fully mainline. I'm talking like the Joe Biden mainline of creepy. I mean, of who the Democrats want to have running. Even people like Hillary Clinton, or the typical what is being fed to us to be the more centrist form of Democrat.
Right.
They are primarying them, and they're trying to push the Democratic Party even farther to the left, trying to get them even farther away from any kind of semblance of a free society. Frankly, they're pushing them towards stronger and stronger socialism, as anybody who has studied the history of any government will see. Even in this government, Lysander Spooner said that if the Constitution, this is a paraphrase, not a quote, but he said, if the Constitution is what was ever intended to restrain our government, it has failed utterly. And it is either wasn't planned for that, or it's just horrible at doing it, because government isn't restrained. It always tries to restrain more and tries to to grow and become more powerful.
Yeah, the one thing that I've always found about government is every little bit of freedom they take after 9/11, the Patriot Act, every little take that they get, you don't get that back.
Yeah.
So people, sometimes argue, well, they just took a little bit because they needed it. That is now the new default line. Everything gets worse past that. It never gets better.
Right. And Milton Friedman said that there is nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
Ain't that the truth?
Right. But you're absolutely right. They said that it's always the bar later. It's why when I'm talking to people about, for instance, gun rights, when I'm talking with them about that, they say, well, what do you want? What is good gun control that you would be okay with? And I tell them I want a nuclear weapon in my backyard. And the reason I tell them that is because I'm basically telling them zero. Where we're going is my direction. We're not going your direction anymore. We're going my direction. Now, we might be able to come together for whatever legislation. Now, I'm never going to run for office. Nobody would elect me because I would say, screw it all. But if I were in charge, I wouldn't be in charge. And so what I would do is pull it back as far as possible. Is if I could get, frankly, right now with Trump, if I could get bump stocks back in people's hands, but that's up for another video. But she's trying to push socialism. So back to the Justice Democrats. These people are pretty much just socialists trying to bring more socialists into the fold. They are your Bernie Sanders types, and there are links between her. I mean, they tried to play it up like that Bernie Sanders and AOC are just friends. Bullshit. They have the same people working for them. They're the same people connected, as all these always are.
And it's always important to realize that you're being fed a dog and pony show constantly. It's all about what looks good and what creates re-elections. It's not like Bernie says, wow, AOC, man, these are really good policies. Will you be my friend?
Right.
That's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah.
But it's what we're supposed to believe.
The whole Green New Deal idea, which she did not write. This is all admitted. She did not write it. 3 of her staffers wrote that over a weekend. I mean,
it was like she wasn't even in the room,
right,
or something like that.
Yeah, she had nothing. Yeah, but she was the face that they put out front. So
pretty face,
right? Exactly. And the whole purpose of these Justice Democrats is to choose people like that are going to be, fabulous for one or another reason. And I need to point to that some of this information I'm getting from somebody that I don't even particularly like. His name is Christopher Patrick Kohls. He's on a group called Mr. Reagan, and I'm not a conservative, I'm a libertarian. So, but he's done some pretty decent research, and Breitbart also has covered all of this as well. The links will be below. But her Green New Deal that they pushed and wrote, these things are all things that have existed. They had these They've been pushing the same crap for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just packaged it, and they put it in her hands to package. To be clear, no one voted for it. No one. They all said, hell no.
Which is why the Republicans, as soon as they found out that she was even presented, said, let's put it to a vote. Because they knew it would fail.
Right.
Because no one voted for it. Nobody wanted it. And people are excited about AOC. That does not mean they're excited about this. And even the Republicans knew that, which is why their strategy was put it to a vote. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, and that's another thing that she does, is she's divisive. She is the Republicans' boogeyman. They love, this is where the Democrats are. This is who they are. This is who they are. Blah, blah, blah. And I pointed out in my video that I did on the Idiocracy, links below, that the Green New Deal, you don't have to be a genius to take it apart. The Federalist took it apart very easily, and they only listed 10 things. And those 10 things made it absolutely impossible to do, because you use basic math. We don't have enough money to do any of this crap.
Right. So if someone can tear it apart, not from an ethical or a moral standard, but simply the math doesn't add up, it makes you wonder why the new superstar of the DNC is massively pushing, massively talking about, propagandizing about this one piece that cannot hold water. What's really going on there?
Yeah, what I think is going on is that she is bringing more, because it's not about reality like we talked about. It's dog and pony. How can I get reelected? And how I can get reelected. She's from New York. It's not like she's from Indiana, where you might be able to get her out of there for one reason. She's from New York. They're going to pick a Democrat.
So I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of what you're going to say, but one of the things that I found fascinating that Mark and I found out recently, although he's definitely more on the subject than I am, but that she is not only from New York, but she was waiting tables.
Yeah, she's a bartender.
Like a year ago.
Right.
So the idea that someone said, let's take someone who's not a career politician, that has no background in politics, maybe that'll work. Let's set that up and see what happens.
And beyond that, they knew it would work. You can go through. Donald Trump won because he was an outsider. Bullshit. I think Rand Paul pointed out in one of the initial debates with him back when they were in the primary that you're still on the inside if you're the one getting the money, or if you're giving the money. It doesn't matter. You're still on the inside. Give, take, doesn't matter. You're still on the inside.
Right.
If you're involved in the transaction.
Take.
Right. Yeah, most of the people who voted for Trump didn't get or take.
Right.
But so that's the first group, is this group of Democrats trying to push to the left, which may seem kind of crazy because you're already pretty left. Not really. Joe Biden still has to pretend like he has some centrist. Hillary Clinton had to say, I believe in the free market. Ocasio-Cortez has no interest in saying that at all. I am an authoritarian. She flat out said on camera that you guys don't know what we're talking about. I'm in charge right now. I mean, come on.
She said that.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Okay, but I would like to point out, Mark keeps, just for the essence of this video, talking about extreme left. I just want to point out the Republicans have banned bump stocks.
Right.
So
both
sides.
Well, they're playing both sides against the middle.
Right.
They're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't get bump stocks taken away. If Hillary Clinton had won the presidency, we'd still have bump stocks, because the fucking right would be going nuts. They'd be going crazy because she's taking our guns away. But when Trump does it, woo, he's protecting everybody.
That's a really interesting perspective. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to go from the other side. So that's part of it. The other one is actually unusual, and it is that Jank.
We're looking at his notes.
Yeah, my notes right here.
Cheap notes. Right
Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. I'm familiar with the Young Turks. His name messes with me. I can't say it. He's Turkish. Nothing against Turkish people. I can't say his name.
Well, so I feel bad because I always call him Chunk, but I don't know if that's a derogatory term that I've grown to associate with him, or if that's his freaking name. But I feel like other people call him Chunk.
Yeah, may. I don't know. I've watched him. I've seen him. Like when he came out and was like all for Ron Paul.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I might watch this guy. You know, this is somebody else that I might pay attention to. And then I watched him for a little while. I was like, okay, he likes Ron Paul because he doesn't like war. On board with you not liking war. He also does not like the economy. but you know, but the Young Turks came up with this idea of pushing, again, everybody to the left, and started funneling money headed by the Young Turks towards, and all of their propaganda. They just became a propaganda arm for the Justice Democrats. They became the media presence. Mm-hmm. Now you might say, but they're independent media. Are they getting canceled by YouTube?
Right. As Twitter cut them off?
Right. Yeah, no. Now, some voices on the left certainly have been cut by YouTube and by Facebook, but not them.
So I actually watched a Joe Rogan podcast not too long ago. He was on there with that guy, Tim Watts, I think. They get into it a lot, or they're friends, whatever, but I enjoy watching them. But Tim Watts was going toe-to-toe with the Twitter's people in charge of who gets their account banned or not. And what's interesting is the Twitter representative said, well, are they bullying or are they not bullying? Could this cause damage after whatever's being said in real life? And I know on the Turk show that Casper whatever lady's name, she says horrible stuff that could easily get a crowd all angry and go punch Nazis or something, and yet their Twitter is safe as can be.
Right, yeah, but I mean, think about all the bull crap that comes across. We're supposed to believe that these alternative media people are dangerous because they're inciting people to riot or whatever. But it's okay for CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and all of these other ones to push murder in large numbers overseas constantly. War.
And celebrate that shit.
Right. And be like, war! You know, fuck that. They are absolutely pushing for violence and people to rise up in the streets.
So I'm a veteran, actually a disabled veteran, as it were. And the thing that pisses me off is whenever people say, support the troops, yay war. That just blows my mind. And that's what Fox News and all these major MSM people are doing.
Right. So the Young Turks pushed this and got her, amongst others. I think the number that they quoted was 79 candidates that they pushed to get out. And so that's part of the rabbit hole. It's actually more of a lateral rabbit hole. It's like, okay, the Justice Democrats are doing this stuff, but laterally also the Young Turks are pushing that. So what's behind them? There's one name. George Soros.
Dun, dun, dun.
The evil empire has come. You know,
if you don't know who George Soros is, please just Google that shit.
Yeah. He's behind everything. And except for Trump. He funded Trump. But he's behind everything. He is one of the people pushing the evil empire that is authoritarianism. He doesn't care how it comes about. And I don't know why. I'm not going to theorize why. I don't know.
But if you know Rockefeller, if you know Bilderberger Group, you better know George Soros.
Yeah, exactly. And he funded a group called the Sunrise Movement, who they quote are organizing an army of young people. Their whole purpose of the Soros-funded organization, and by the way, co-founded by, and I have my notes, excuse me again, it's another foreigner, nothing against foreigners, but It's Varshini Prakash, and he's loosely connected to the Clintons. Just as during my research, found out it's odd. He's also connected to the Tides Foundation, which is connected to the Clintons. Who are also funded by Soros. So fun stuff. Don't think that Hillary Clinton's directly involved with Ocasio-Cortez, but fun that snakes through everything, and because that's what he does.
They drink at the same water hole.
Yeah,
but they're not connected.
Right, correct. And but I found that interesting. And the reason that you can tell that she's not directly connected to the Clintons is nobody's died with 2 bullet holes to the back of their head or connected to her at all.
Committed suicide.
Right. That's not happened. So it wasn't a Clinton. But
so what did you say the name of that group is, though?
The Sunrise Movement.
No. Something about a young army.
Oh, yeah, that was the Sunrise Movement. That's their goal. Is they said they wanted an army, and this is a quote, army of young people. Their whole goal is to get millennials and down, everybody who is, because most people know that between 18 and 30, they're not voting.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not today.
Right, but no, what kills me is we've talked before about why you shouldn't go punch a Nazi. It's senseless violence. You don't know who's a freaking Nazi unless they got a swastika here and they're wearing a brown shirt. Then they would be a neo-Nazi, not a Nazi. But there is this force of violence of Americans against Americans that's being propagated, and it just really rubs me the wrong way. They're calling them the young army.
Yeah, well, they want an army of young people. They want
the
Hitler Youth.
Army. Why not the proud youth of America?
Oh, I'm sure that when they publicize it. This was just their inner talking to each other. They're calling themselves an army of young people.
Okay.
They go to telling the American people are going to be loving people out to help. It's community.
Because this will not be like Dumbledore's army where it's all cute and we learn about friendship.
Right. They get armbands in this one. They get armbands, little red symbols. So, but anyhow, the purpose of this is to get all of these young people, because they see it. They know that, like, I'm not a big fan of Ronald Reagan. I'm not a big fan of conservatives, but they made a pretty big impact. And what that impact was, although I agree with Rothbard, it set libertarians back pretty good. But what they did was they brought smaller government, less government involvement into being popular back in the 80s. Well, that generation's getting old. And they need to get the young people, and they know that. And they see the rise of libertarian ideas. Now, maybe they might call themselves libertarian. Like, I have better luck convincing people to be a voluntarist or an anarchist than I do a libertarian when they're young, because they've been conditioned to think that means evil, and that they're going to be hurt, and it's going to be bad, and why don't you care about people, and all that crap. So, but their idea is to get them young. Get them hooked, get them stuck into the system, get them powerful. And then when they get to be about 30, 35, they're going to start voting.
And, to back that claim a little bit more, a lot of the things that are evil and that are wrong are immutable. There is no argument. For instance, the things that are considered wrong, racist, for instance. If I get dreadlocks in my hair right now, that's not because I admired the person I saw with dreadlocks. I'm like, wow, that's cool. No, it's because I'm trying to appropriate someone else's culture,
right,
and I'm punching down somehow. So it's like there's no argument left to be had. It is an immutable, set in stone, this is the new standard, and then whatever comes on top of that is just never going to go beneath it. There's no more argument.
Right.
It's from there on.
Correct. So that's what they're doing with this, and that's Soros pushing it. And to give you some ideas, Soros funded a lot of things. And it's not that Soros, and sometimes he did some good things. I think that they almost lost control with the Occupy Wall Street movement. I mean, you were involved in the Occupy Wall Street. And
I was in my socialist days.
but still, they were rallying. Again, we're not left or right. They were rallying against authority, and they were rallying against the controlling forces.
Corruption.
Right. They were looking at corporations, and there's reality in there. Those corporations suck. And they are using government, their pals, and they're pushing forward. But they almost lost control of that. But they managed to get that rein back in, just like the Republicans managed to get the Tea Party rein back in.
Just like they're desperately trying to do to the French people right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is we're starting to awaken, but we're skipping ahead a little. So Soros is involved. Connected to Soros, and you'll find this with almost everything, is you're going to have two R words. And yeah, the conspiracy theorists are going to go nuts. Because absolutely true. The Rockefeller Foundation is connected to Soros and connected to pushing forth Ocasio-Cortez. That is happening. And the Rockefellers have used their oil money to push social agenda and socialism itself as a controlling method for the people. And if you have any doubts, the Corbett report, it has two videos. One is why big oil conquered the world and how big oil conquered the world.
I would like to point out we need to also start moving away from the idea of conspiracy theory and instead just understand the Rockefeller, they are paying money to certain interests, just like every rich person does. This is not some kind of crazy concept. Obviously, they're doing it. You can track it. You can Google it.
And they're not alone. And it's not just on the left. I mean, the Koch Foundation does it to the right. And I'm not saying that all these people are bad. I don't know them. But I'm guessing that they aren't thinking what's going to help the little guy.
Right. They're serving self-interest. Just like whenever I go to the store and I get something nice for the kitchen, I'm serving my self-interest. I'm using my money for my self-interest.
Right.
That's what everyone does. So to think that the Rockefellers somehow don't is silly.
Right. And we'll get into that when we dive a little bit farther into socialism. But the final piece to that puzzle is pretty simple. And that is Bernie Sanders. He was sharing a bunch of his people with Cortez. Saw somebody, now more than likely this is all planned out. This is, he didn't look across at the lovely lass that he wants to help. No, he was like, okay, she's preaching my sermon. I need to get her under me. Watch. If he does by some chance get his fucking ancient ass elected to be president, she's going to be either in his cabinet or vice president. She's going to be right there because he knows, how can I capture even more of that vote?
Right, and he's also not looking at her, he's looking at her audience.
Right.
He's looking at the people that support her, and he wants to bring that in. It's no different than playing most children's games, where you want to collect as many pieces as possible. Yeah, it's simple.
Yeah, and the thing is, all of these things are what politics is. Politics is simply many blood-sucking vermin, blood-sucking parasites. That's
I feel
it.
like you're a little biased there, but
I'm an anarchist. Take it for what it's worth. But all these people that want to talk about, okay, now, and I want to be clear, not being Barack Obama, but I want to be clear. When he said it, it meant he was about to lie. When I'm saying it, I'm trying to excuse people who have a collective understanding of economics. I'm not saying that libertarian socialists are bad. I don't understand it, and I'll be honest that I don't understand it. But I think they have good hearts and they're trying to do good things. I'm not saying that anarcho-communists are bad. I'm not saying that. Let's get rid of the state. We'll work on economics later. But that being said, socialism has only led to one thing, and that is death and war and more power to centralized people.
Well, on the flip side, the good things that socialism has brought is bread lines, where you can talk with your neighbors, you can communicate with your community.
Right. Everybody can understand each other.
Togetherness.
Yes, that's right. When everybody in the family needs to live in that one-bedroom apartment, the family is helped.
The family that bread lines together stays together.
Yeah, amen, brother. But But no, seriously, socialism is a blight on the human existence.
Absolutely.
And what these people are preaching and what they're pushing has been done before. You know, just because you're saying, you're putting, it's democratic socialism. Murder at the hand, okay, we're going to kill 100 people. These 1,000 people are going to get together and vote on who the 100 people we're going to murder are. Who cares if it is democratic? Who cares if you are voting to enslave people?
Well, I want to 101 the socialism just a little bit, and that is, socialism really boils down to one idea. The personal responsibility that I carry as an adult, I give up, and I give to the government. But with responsibility comes power. This is Spider-Man, right? Everybody knows this. So I'm giving up my power as well to make my own choices and giving it to the government, because the government will make those moral and ethical choices that we all know the government to be.
Oh yeah, always. Every time the police come in and shoot a dog, I know they have the best interest of the people.
Dog probably had rabies or something.
Yeah. You know, or when they flash bomb babies.
Right.
That baby was going to attack. It's a zombie baby.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we keep doing it? The answer is because people don't want to grow the hell up. The reason is because they don't want to grow the hell up. They don't want to take action over their own lives.
There is a certain comfort to that. Americans, especially nowadays, given our economy, we're stressed out. We're constantly trying to figure out how to make ends meet. Knowing that someone else is going to take that stress away from us can give you a sense of, okay, everything's going to be taken care of. I can relax and enjoy my TV shows. But in all actuality, the people taking that, they're not going to work in your best interest. Historically, they never work in your best interest.
And let's just logically push this out. Let's just figure this out, okay? You want to have food, okay? That's what you want. So how the hell does it make sense to get all your neighbors to give $20 to a guy that's going to take 19 of the $20 to give you $1? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that people that push for socialism, I feel like a lot of people that push for socialism, they also have a good heart. And what they do is they say, well, I want to take care of these homeless people out on the street. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give $200 to the government to take care of that homeless person. Well, the government needs to process that money. The government needs to write legislation on how that money is going to be dispersed and pay everyone that's doing that.
And they need to buy a new house.
They need to buy a new house.
They need to fund the CIA to watch us all.
Right. And because we have an entire new system to take care of these homeless people, the government needs to open up more departments, and including janitors, to take care of those departments while they work in them. So you've given $200 and like 5 cents maybe makes it to the homeless person. You're not doing anything good for the homeless. What would have helped is taking that $200, go into your local charity, go into your local homeless shelter and say, boom, there's $200. Can you help some people? Or go buy some coats, drop them off at the homeless center. Then the homeless people get $200 worth of what you're giving instead of a nickel.
Yeah, and because people want to say, oh, but don't just buy drugs. So go buy stuff and give it to them.
That's
but
crazy.
You can't. Because then you get arrested. Because they make laws. Because what if your food wasn't inspected by the people that we hired?
Yeah, you're talking about like that 93-year-old man who would take time out of his day, probably like rickety joints hurting, lays out the spread of food for homeless people, and the cops come and protect and serve everybody by arresting this 93-year-old man.
Right.
Oh, man, that killed me.
Or you got to have your business license, too.
Right.
You got to have a business license. If you're a 7-year-old peddling that illegal contraband called lemonade, you're going to jail because you didn't get your business license. You're not even old enough to have a business.
Which all that means is you're operating a business without giving the government your money.
Okay. How is this not a criminal organization? Of course, we know that it is. And this is all bull. And on top of all that, it is backed up entirely by violence. It is entirely backed up by violence.
Well, it has to be. If somebody told me if you don't pay your taxes, nothing will happen to you, I'm not paying my taxes. But if you tell me that I'm going to be taken away from my family and thrown into a prison for who knows how long, whatever the tax laws are, I'm going to pay my taxes. I want to take care of my family.
Yeah, there's a guy running for president. I think it's Yang or something like that is his last
I know who
name.
you're talking about.
Yeah, he says he's going to give everybody $1,000. Where the hell is he going to get that money? They're going to tax it? But they say, I got in this argument on Facebook, but this guy said, it's voluntary. Okay, I'm not volunteering. Okay, I'm okay with not getting his $1,000. I don't get to participate. Okay.
If taxes are voluntary, I want a refund, please.
You're right.
But even more than that, the Yang character, one of the things that I saw is so obvious, and this is another point against socialism. If you raise everyone to where everyone gets $1,000, rent goes up $1,000. The market will compensate.
Right.
Nobody's better off except for a few people that have the power to shift the system in their favor.
Usually politicians who sold that bullshit to everybody and get reelected getting paid again.
Right.
And then they're going to have to pass their own pay raise because my rent went up $1,000. So we got to get me a little more money because I don't know how that happens. But you're right. Part of the problem is when we do this, and a lot of people are like us do this. I don't just say, "What can we do to solve this problem today?" I have a friend, great guy, but I was working while going to college, making minimum wage, right? This guy, not gonna name any names. This guy comes along. He works making like $18, $19 an hour. I'm making minimum wage, trying to get through college. He's making lots of money. It was $18, $19, and I may actually be low. And I don't smoke. And he comes over to my house, and he says, "Hey, Mark, can you give me a pack of cigarettes?" I'm like, "Dude, you make $19 an hour." Well, we spent that money. Okay, on what? I bought a sword. Okay, you didn't need a sword. You should have been thinking, tomorrow, I'm going to need some cigarettes. So I think about tomorrow. I think about what's going to happen to my money and to my stability. And I think about, for instance, electric cars. Great idea. I call them coal-powered cars. Because I can think of the next step. Where does the energy to fund that, to go into that Tesla come from? From a power plant. Where I live, it's coal. All the power plants, coal. It's a coal-powered car. Gasoline's, last time I checked, gasoline is more efficient and more clean than coal. So it's actually worse for the environment, but nobody thinks of the next step.
So they did, you remember when they came out with biofuel? They were basically turning corn into fuel.
Still doing that. All over Indiana.
It sounds fantastic, right? We're not having to dig up dead dinosaurs. We can just grow it. Well, it turns out what happens is third world countries figure out a way, oh my God, we can actually eat food. We can actually make a little bit of money here. Let's clear out this rainforest, grow the crops. Now nothing can grow there. So next year, clear out more rainforest. Turns out that's where a lot of our fuel is coming from. We're cutting down rainforest for this great idea. And a lot of things seem so shiny whenever it's first presented. And then it turns out to be an absolute disaster once you think 2 steps ahead.
Yeah. And that's the issue with socialism in every form. And the thing is, the free market can suck. It can. There is no guarantee. Both of us struggle right now, struggling to pay our bills, having a hard time. I work my ass off. Outside of doing this, I have a job. I work for Adam Kokesh. We've started a business. We're doing videos. I work my ass off. Mykl does very similar things. We work hard. Still not making it. Still having to struggle to pay the bills. Still having to struggle to just get by. But sometimes it works. Socialism never does.
Right. If I was getting a paycheck from the government, all these struggles I'm going through, why? I'm not really going to get ahead, so why go through all this stuff? I can just get my paycheck and watch TV shows.
Yeah. So the problem is...
Yeah, that kind of sounds nice.
I know. Sit on the couch. The hard part is, I that's not enough for me.
Me either. I have business ventures. I have dreams. I want to make different things work. Involuntary Visions, I want this platform where voluntarists can come and not be censored and get together and be raised into a unified voice. That's why we're doing what we're doing. I'm not making money from it. I just want to change the world where we can.
Yeah. And bring it to a more free place. And those kinds of things are forward thinking. Mm-hmm. Freedom brings opportunity. Just the little piece, and this country is not free, but the little piece of freedom that this country had for about 100 years, and I'm talking about the first 100, had this country succeeding for another 100 years and have us where we are now. Mm-hmm. And that is amazing. Just a little piece of freedom. If we had a whole lot of freedom, I've got kids. I want those kids to live in a free world so they can be comfortable.
So they can raise my grandchildren in a free world. And I'm not afraid of, a cop raping my granddaughter on the side of the road or disappearing her, or just all the horrible things that can happen now.
Right. And so that's what we do, why we do the things we do, and that's why we oppose socialism. That's why Ms. Cortez and all 5 of those groups associated with her, and I'm sure that there are more, are not working our best interest. They're working for their own interest, just like everyone. You clear all this socialist nonsense away. There's a capitalist sitting on top, looking down, going, catch some money. I'm going to get me some of this every time. That's why Bernie Sanders has, 3-4 homes? He probably bought one yesterday.
Let me ask you this. How many rich people do you think are going to spend their money against their interests?
0. Mm-hmm. So, my interests are to grow this venture. If you've liked this video, if you want to see more of it, like it, please comment. We want to talk.
Yeah, engage.
VoluntaryVisionsMedia.com. Check out our store. We have a bunch of really cool products.
Oh, yes. This is a shirt that you can get from our store.
Yep. Adam Kokesh, who's a friend of ours.
Yep. We're selling his merch on there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Check it out. And if you're on BitChute, hit the tip button. Every bit of money that we are raising right now is going back into the business. We just bought ads on Facebook. We're trying to do what we can to move forward. And we don't want to do this alone. Again, we are rolling forward ideas.
And we're having fun with it, just so everyone knows. Like learning about Facebook ads, that's an adventure.
Right. Yeah. But we also hope to help others. Like we're helping Adam. Like we have a friend named Carlos who we're going to have. I'm not going to call him out yet.
Spoil it. Yeah.
But we're going to help him out because real helping, real working together, real community is people coming together voluntarily for community interaction. Yes. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.